Kia ora koutou, greetings from New Zealand. My name is Lydia Green and I'm the founder and project manager of Manta Watch New Zealand Charitable Trust. Today I'll be sharing an overview of the population demographics and habitat use of Mobula birostris in Aotearoa, New Zealand. First off, just want to acknowledge this is a highly collaborative project and our key partners are Auckland University and Conservation International Aotearoa, specifically Eddie Setiawan and Dr. Mark Erdman. So I just wanted to start off by saying that yes, we do have oceanic manta rays in New Zealand waters. New Zealand does fall nicely within the southern range, but historically this population has been considered a bit too hard to study, and 100% they are tricky. But there is a lot of preconceptions as well, mainly they're really far offshore, highly transient, and very seasonal. But a good starting point for the project was that birostris have been fully protected in New Zealand since 2011, but their main issue is that they're data deficient in status. And so basically we have very little knowledge on pretty much all aspects of their life history. And so it's just incredibly important that we start gaining that information. So the initial hurdle we had to overcome with this project was the lack of data. So Manta Watch New Zealand launched in 2017, and during this time we had a handful of IDs and about 20 sightings spanning the last 20 years. So not heaps to go on. So it was really important to reach out to our offshore users, our citizen scientists, and this was really nicely timed with the rise in social media and people getting comfortable with sharing information for good, which is awesome. Another key aspect is research partnership. Being able to partner with entities like Conservation International have really helped just resource our efforts. So as you can see, 2019, the first New Zealand manta ray was tagged, which was awesome. And then 21-22, we finally got out on the water, and so we were able to start actively researching these animals and putting all this sightings data knowledge into practice. Before I get into the actual research findings, I just wanted to take a moment to show how much of an influence citizen science sightings have on our project. So currently we're sitting pretty at over 70% of our sightings data comes from offshore users, which is incredible. The flip side of that is it's kind of quantity over quality of data sometimes, because it's just something that we can't control. And so a big part of our project is education and outreach, so that citizen scientists know exactly the types of data that we need to get to make the most of their sighting. But we're massively grateful for our wider manta community. So when we do get out in the field, it's all go. We need to get as much high quality data about these animals as possible. So everything from gender, behaviour, photo IDs, also looking at associated marine life, environmental conditions, and if we can, we'll pop in a few satellite tags here and there. And we're doing most of this collection through videography and photography, but then aerial drone is also critical to this research. So our key questions are: how big is this population and what are the key demographics? What drivers influence movement and habitat use? Are birostris native to New Zealand? And what risks are this population exposed to? So a key part of our sightings data is learning where these animals are and when. And as you can see from our sightings map, we have a really big concentration of sightings in that upper third, so the northern east coast of New Zealand. Something to be aware of is that our citizen science data is heavily biased in terms of where people are going out onto the water. It normally corresponds with densely populated areas with heavy boat use, basically. So a good thing to consider are our west coast sightings and that one on the far east, just to show that the likelihood is we do have manta rays throughout the North Island, and quite possibly down in the South Island too. Equally, with our seasonal frequency, New Zealand's manta season, the peak of it is kind of December through till March, and February is all go. We have mantas everywhere. But at the same time, we've got some nice interesting sightings early spring, so September, through to early winter in June. So again, we're really wanting to kind of build that survey effort in those shoulder seasons as well. So this map nicely breaks down the type of behaviours that we're seeing in New Zealand waters. So they're doing a bit of everything, which is cool. But by and large, the predominant behaviour observed is feeding. And that nicely coincides with highly productive summer water, lots of krill. So in New Zealand, we get big krill swarms on the surface, irresistible for Biorostris to go over there and gorge. Interestingly, a lot of our sightings are in shallower inshore waters, so under 100 meters deep. We get a lot of activity around that 50 to 70 meters, so that just busts one of the preconceptions. They do come right in, and on occasion you can actually see them from land. Another cool thing to note is we do get courtship here, so active courtship events, seen by the yellow dots there, and on average we'll get 3 to 4 sightings of courting mantas each year. So another key aspect to this project is cataloguing photographic IDs. So this is the image of the ventral marking on each manta ray. So this is unique, and so it enables us to track individuals over time. We now have 103 IDs, which is very cool. And the bulk of these animals that we're getting the IDs for are female. And interestingly, 27% of those ID'd females were in the latter stage of pregnancy. So that's obviously pregnant and ready to pop. So proving that Biorostris utilise New Zealand's waters for reproductive purposes. Another cool thing to note is ID'd mantas have a very low incidence of injury, which is great to see. So this population is nice and healthy. And furthermore, we've had 2 resightings this year. So when ID'd mantas ID'd again. And so this is a great way of honing in on that population estimate and seeing how individual mantas continue to use New Zealand waters over time. So the graph below shows the size distribution in disc width, so from tip to tip of a fully extended pectoral fins of our photo ID'd mantas. So you can see like there's quite a lot of variation here. A lot of our mature females are kind of like 420 through to 580, so quite large, pushing nearly 6 meters across. But then you can also see we do have quite a few smaller individuals as well. And we've seen that when out in the field, you do get quite a lot of subadult males, which are around 3 meters, 320, and they're feeding alongside the bigger individuals. Just wanted to kind of show that the application of aerial drone has just been revolutionary for this research. And accurately measuring mantas using aerial drone is something that we've been able to utilise with the skills of Edi Setiawan, who began this approach over in Indonesia. So to conclude, it's quite clear that Aotearoa supports a significant population of Mobula biorostris. We're really just scratching the surface of how big this population is. Furthermore, these guys are actively breeding and giving birth in New Zealand waters. So future directions, we want to facilitate further research opportunities. We want to continue to build on our sightings and ID databases, increase survey effort in different locations and at different times of the year. Really important, we want to identify some nursery and pupping grounds, and then continue to build those key relationships with our offshore communities and Indigenous peoples. Thank you very much for your time.